Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at all the Warhammer Age of Sigmar and Warcry releases in a single video. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Alright, so we got a little summary of all the Age of Sigmar and Warcry miniatures from the LVO reveal. Let's jump right in. Preview 2024. Nighthaunt and Lumineth realm lords engage in elemental battle. The Gnarlwood is a verdant world of carnivorous trees, situated in the realm of the beasts. The monstrous results of Realmskipper engines and Crash Seraphon void ship going into overdrive. The lush arena of death churns with combat as warbands of bloodthirsty warriors battle over the treasures within. Nagash, Supreme Lord of the Undead, has declared the living Gnarlwood an affront to unlife and has dispatched a retinue of cursed Nighthaunt to murder it in cleaning conflagration. Only the warrior monks of the Lumineth realm lords can prevent this inferno, though these supercilious elves have an ulterior motive. Alright, so we've got a new Warcry expansion. Lumineth versus the Undead. And it is taking place in Gur, so it looks like we're basically going to have 2 years in the Gur setting. And like I suspected earlier, the season is going to continue on in Gur, even though we have moved on in Sigmar, which is pretty cool. I like the idea of that, since we kind of felt robbed with last season. Alright, so really nice looking Nighthaunt right here. Some cool models, very, very flavorful. And then we've got our Lumineth. These kind of remind me of the War Dancers of the Wood Elves, which is pretty cool. Definitely a fan of these. Pyre and Flood. Warcry Pyre and Flood introduces 2 new warbands to the Ravening Ruin. The Udrillan Riverblades and the Pyregeist. Elemental forces that are clashing over the fate of the Gnarlwood and all those who dwell within. So very similar to what we're seeing in Kill Team now. They've broken up the big boxes, no more big redundant sets of trees. Instead, we're going to get 2 new warbands, a bunch of like rules and cards and stuff, and then a single piece of terrain. The inventive cruelty of Nagash has created endless twisted torments, which he inflicts upon the souls of those who wronged him in life. For the imbalancers, alchemists, and holy men and women who attempt to preserve the souls of the dead with sacred fires and blessed unguents. The punishment is thus eternal consumption by balefire. These sorry souls are tasked with keeping the endless braziers of Nagashazar alight, filling them with mortal flesh and soul matter so they radiate deathly magic. These smoldering spirits are now congregated into the Gnarlwood, preparing to turn it into a blazing bonfire of necromantic energy. A funeral pyre burning in celebration of their merciless god. Alright, so very cool. This is our leader of the new warband. And definitely a big fan of this model. Very, very cool. Very unique. It's probably pretty difficult, I would imagine, to keep making a bunch of like very similar models, but like have them stand out. And I think they did a pretty good job with these. I like that they have like the blend of armor and then the traditional sort of like undead, ghostly look to them. And we see each one is different. They've all got like different weapons, but they're all on fire. Some of the models as well. So pretty cool. And then these last 3 are a little bit more like banshees and a little less like your typical Nighthaunt. So very cool. Nice looking stuff. Appears to be 8 models in this set. The warrior monks of the Udrillan Temple stand in opposition to the Scorched Spectres. These are elementary Lumineth who are dedicated to the elemental spirits that embody Haish. Worshipping the rivers of the mortal realms, embodying the momentum of rushing water in combat as they leap, twist, sway, and strike with fluid fury. Their mission is to restore the spirit of the river Duravar back to its former glory, to direct its tributaries to flood the ravening ruin, purging the chaos filth and corrupting entities that infest it. Alright, so very cool. Definitely a big fan of the masks. The overall like kind of look and aesthetic of these kind of remind me of Vega from Street Fighter. We see like some various weapons. Here we obviously have the leader. Got some elevation through some like tactical ruin rocks. Definitely cool. Couple more. Each one appears to be unique as well. Some various different weapons. Again, really nice. Not a huge fan of the actual like faces exposed on these. Definitely look a lot cooler with the masks, but it does look like you have quite a bit of diversity. Not sure if we're going to have some options to like go fully masked or if these are going to be like single mono pose. But yeah, overall pretty nice. Definitely some cool new minis. Like the little bit of lore and everything. And these are sort of like the protectors of like the water. And it does look like 10 total models for the Lumineth. Pyre and Flood comes with a new piece of terrain for Warcry, a monolithic idol of the old ones. This was part of a network of statues that were embedded with the Eye of Chotek. When it collided with Gur, these statues were flung across the land and became the Gnarlwood. These frowning frog sculptures are studded with magical trinkets and pack arcane security system that can blast unwary explorers with coruscated beams of energy. They're also a handy purchase that the athletic fighters can leap off to attack unwary foes. The set contains Warband, Tome, Pyre and Flood, which goes into detail on the background of the Pyregeist and Udrillan Riverblades. and includes full rules, quests, campaigns, terrain rules, a new battle plan generator, and background tables for both warbands. Alright, very cool. Definitely some nice looking art. Doesn't specifically mention like the cards or tokens or anything like that in the set, but I'm assuming we're going to get something like that as well. So really nice new set for Warcry here. I do like that they've gotten away from all of the redundant Gnarlwood terrain. It is very unfortunate that they had to like break this up into multiple seasons. But I think I'm glad that they didn't rush right out of the Gnarlwood and just never give us like the cool actual like statue and ruin stuff that we were all waiting on. Instead, they've sort of like delayed the Warcry setting and just moved on with Sigmar. So I think overall they did a good job there. Alright, and then next in the Mortal Realms, the Dawnbringer Crusades continue with Krethusa, the Croneser, herald and arrival of Dawnbringer Book 5. Though Morathi Kane betrayed Sigmar in her selfish pursuit of godhood, not all of her kin worship the Shadow Queen. Help for beleaguered Sigmarites in Ashby and Ghyran arrives on the midnight black wings of Krethusa, the Croneser. Alright, so we got a new model coming here for the Daughters of Kane. So very cool. So far, everything we've seen from the Dawnbringer series has been pretty freaking awesome. It's been quite a few books and spread out, but there's definitely a lot of lore to follow along with the story too. So really nice. She's got like a little crown covering up her eyes there. She has some crow-like wings and companions, and then a big awesome staff. Definitely not nearly as big. So far, all the other factions got like a pretty large kind of centerpiece model. This one is on a big base and everything, but I mean, the crows are like regular size crows I'm imagining right here. And she appears to be basically like a regular size human slash elf, just with some wings and a sort of like tactical rock and staff. So a little bit underwhelming. The model is pretty awesome and definitely would be fun to paint. Krethusa was a loner in the Sisterhood of Kane from her early days, as she cultivated an obsession with Morai Heg, the ancient crone goddess who was swallowed along with the rest of the Alvin pantheon by Slaanesh. She felt a presence visiting her in the dreams and wholeheartedly believed it was Morai Heg. For this she was ridiculed, beaten, and ostracized. She did not abandon her obsession, and her mania reached its peak when she found the circlet of Morai Heg deep in a temple of Ulgu. By donning the headdress with its inverted spikes, she sacrificed her sight, hoping to receive the gift of the truth from the crone goddess. So very cool. She basically put on the headdress, it like pokes out her eyeballs, and then she gets like the sight of the crows. So neat, and definitely follows the lore of sort of like fantasy, Sigmar, even like some D&D aspects in there as well. Nice looking model. This miracle didn't come to pass, and Krethusa was distraught for many years. Only when Morathi Kane attained godhood and slit the belly of Slaanesh was the devotion rewarded. A sliver of divinity was freed, and Krethusa received sable wings and the gift of prescience. Now Krethusa is the Croneser, accompanied by flocks of carrion birds who act as her all-seeing eyes across the mortal realms. Vision of the futures as yet unseen flood her mind, and although she struggles to discern precisely how each future will come to pass, Morai Heg subtly guides her with omens. So very cool, nice looking model right here. Definitely has like a sort of like hag aspect to her. Sort of reminds me of some of the characters from Curse of Strahd, sort of like the crow slash like hag combination. Very cool. Alright, and Shadow of the Crone, Book 5 from the Dawnbringer series. You can read about Krethusa's scattered vision in the future in Dawnbringer Book 5, Shadow of the Crone, as they bring her to aid and twin-tailed crusade in Ghyran, and to Hammerhall, which is slowly succumbing to the King's Blood curse. The book covers the Croneser pariahs, an army of renown for worshippers of Morai Heg, and another for protectors of Hammerhall, as well as the fourth part of the Twin-Tailed Crusade Path to Glory pack. There are rules for Stronghold Assault, a new match play battle pack that pits teams of 4 players in a clash between competing redoubts. Morai Heg's Sable-Winged Prophet will still be available as part of Krethusa's Cronehost, a box which pairs her with 5 Doomfire Warlocks, which can also be built as Dark Riders, and 10 Witch Elves, which can be alternatively built as Sisters of Slaughter. So very cool. Here is the new Dawnbringer box right here. 5 of the Doomseer Warlocks, and then 10 of the Sisters of Slaughter. And then, of course, Morai Heg. So 16 models total. I'm curious how this is going to be priced. Unfortunately, it seems like every box that has come out for the last few years just contains like the same models over and over again for the Daughters of Kane. So at this point in time, I mean, unless you're a new player, you've got to have plenty of the Doomfire Warlocks and then also the Sisters of Slaughter. So a little bit redundant, but cool character leading them nonetheless. And then, of course, the book as well. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. Alright, and then last reveal from the mortal realms of LVO, we have Callis and Toll, lead the saviors of Cinderfall. While the twin-tailed crusade continues to journey into the inhospitable wilds of Ashwi and Ghyran, Hammerhall, the crucible of the great endeavor, is under attack from within and without. Casks of fine wine marked with the King's Blood seal continue to be smuggled in through the choking, crime-ridden district of Cinderfall, turning any who are exposed to it into frothing, fleshy-hungry maniacs. To deal with a problem this big, you need a ragtag band of heroes, led by a no-nonsense witch hunter in a tall hat. Luckily, that's just what they get in Dawnbringer Book 5, Shadow of the Crone. So I do love the lore and everything. They have been just absolutely killing it, knocking it out of the park with the Dawnbringer lore. With the models, the reveals, everything is super cool. So here we see the Croneser, and then we're going to have some new characters to go along with her to hunt out all of the undead that are being essentially like created through this tainted wine. So very, very cool story. Obviously, we've seen all of the new models for them. Oh yeah, these look nice. Some more cool characters. So lots of like human-sized heroes and everything. Not as much of like the big monsters and everything as we saw in the previous few books. But very nice nonetheless. A lot of this stuff really just looks like D&D characters that you would use for a quest or for like your main character. Which is awesome to be able to multi-purpose your models. And a lot of these are very unique. The saviors of Cinderfall are tasked with scourging the King's Blood curse with the Cinderfall district and saving Hammerhall. They are led by veteran witch hunter Hanavar Toll and his long-standing ally, the ex-Free Guild officer Armin Callis. You'll recognize them from the Black Library exploits and the Warhammer Plus animation Undercity. To get to the bottom of the plot to collapse Hammerhall from within, Callis and Toll have recruited a formidable rogues gallery. Okay, so very nice. Another witch hunter character carrying a lantern. Again, this looks like it would be straight out of D&D. Love the textured bases and everything. Sort of reminds me of like the Cursed City action right here. Double pistols, cool armor. Very, very nice. Definitely some nice stuff going on here. All right, and then we see like a little grappling hook, kind of like elf, maybe human thing going on there. And then we have a old lady with what appears to be like some bionic kind of like armor and everything. And of course, the cat that everyone was super excited about. So Games Workshop leaning in super hard on like the little companions. And then we've got one more nice looking Stormcast Eternal character, casually resting on the shield with a Griff companion. Starting to get a little bit overdone at this point in time, although this is very well executed. I'm not going to lie, the foot characters are getting like a little bit redundant. They just released like so many of these kind of like mixed warbands / like groups. And they tend to not have the best rules in Sigmar. So while the actual models are cool and nice for painters out there and everything, overall been a little bit underwhelming for like the actual gaming aspect. Integral to the missions is Lysa Ravinia, a talented thief from the morbid city of Lethis who specializes in navigating trap-ridden crypts and catacombs, an ideal ally for navigating the twisting depths of Hammerhall. Despite her status as a fugitive, Toll was sufficiently impressed by her skills when they first met. Mistress Ferentia, the Weaver of Secrets, is a mythical figure whose name is well known by all the Hammerhall's criminals. She has eyes and ears all over the realm, spanning city, thanks to the menagerie of felines who relay their findings to her via jeweled collars, linked to a magical gauntlet given to her by a mysterious stranger. So again, very nice. I like the lantern, the very cool like cat and everything with a little bit of lore backing it up. See like the little thief sort of elf kind of rogue, and then of course the nice imposing Stormcast Eternals hero with a little bit of grim action going on here. Love these models. They definitely look really nice. The final member of the unlikely group of heroes is Valius, the keeper of Ashen, and his Griffhound Balthus. A Lord Castellant, Valius was present at the founding of Hammerhall many years ago and carries the Clavis Magna, the key to the city. Not just a symbolic artifact, the key allows him to walk through one threshold in the city and emerge through any other. Such a powerful ability has been crucial in rooting out the seditious threats that threaten the Hammerhall. But Valius cannot be everywhere at once, and his task is endless. This set of miniatures will be released alongside Dawnbringer's Book 5, Shadow of the Crone, which features rules for using them in Cities of Sigmar armies or as a regiment of renown in other Order armies. The story of the slow infection of the city and Callis and Toll's efforts to expunge it will also be expanded upon a Callis and Toll, a forthcoming Black Library novel by David Annandale. So very cool, nice lore, a little book to go along with them. Along with the cities of Sigmar, these new heroes provide a ground level view of life in mortal realms and the challenges that face one of the most important cities during the age of Sigmar. So a little bit underwhelming in comparison to what we saw in the first few Dawnbringer books and like these massive sort of like heroes or character models. Monsters, should I say, but very nicely tied in. I can't help but say that these look like they belong in Cursed City. I really wish Games Workshop would sort of like intertwine their stuff together. It's a shame that Cursed City was like such a flop, because that would be like the perfect setting for all of this to kind of like tie everything together and have like the Warhammer Quest sort of like fantasy setting just so much cooler. Overall, some nice releases though. Definitely a little bit underwhelming after seeing like Balthazos, this massive like Orion-like character riding a grasshopper. The upcoming Ghoul King, which is probably one of the coolest models I've ever seen in my life. The amazing Lord Relictor riding a dragon that we saw for the Stormcast Eternals. And then of course, one of my personal favorites, Trugg the Troggoth King. So I don't want to downplay it, but just a little bit soft. Not quite the hard-hitting stuff that we saw in the earlier Dawnbringer books and releases. So let me know what you're most excited about. Always like to hear your opinions down below. Definitely some nice looking characters and would be awesome for like D&D adventurers. I do love when they expand out the ranges and everything. Likely to be a little bit underwhelming on the rules, but the story looks very, very cool. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop products. That's it for the fantasy realms of LVO releases. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.